we're starting out on the beach, and I'm sure you guys are wondering what the Sargassum situation is looking like. We're Simone and Giovanni, and over the last 3 years we quit our jobs, moved to Mexico with our dog, got married, and began our journey to visit all 32 states of Mexico.
In this episode, we will be sharing what it's like to live in Playa, as well as our observations of some concerning changes we've noticed in the last 3 years.
In the past 2 years, the Sargassum kind of arrived around May, and it was here until about October. We are currently in the middle of February, and the Sargassum is already here by the ton. Basically, if the Sargassum carries on like this, it gives you like 3 months of the year to experience Playa del Carmen's beaches without Sargassum.
Yeah, even though the government is doing their maximum efforts to clean up this area, the shores here in Playa del Carmen, but to be honest, it's like an endless battle.
Yeah, I mean, even though they are doing a great job at removing all the Sargassum, it's still got that fishy smell, and you don't have those beautiful blue Caribbean waters like what Playa del Carmen once has. Giovanni literally grew up in Playa, and when I look at the photos of his childhood on the beach with his family, the waters used to be so beautifully blue, exactly like what you'd expect to see in the Caribbean, but
not anymore.
Not anymore, unfortunately. When I first got here, I'd never heard the word Sargassum before. Basically, it's just like this brown seaweed. It actually can get quite itchy if you swim amongst it. I actually once got like quite a big skin irritation because of it. But yeah, it really makes the place smell gross, and it makes the water very murky. These guys that are driving the tractors are picking up the Sargassum by the ton. It's only really in front of the hotels that you'll see this happening. Activity number 1 of the day is ice bath and breath work. Our good friend Kevin actually runs this on the beach out here from Tuesdays to Sundays, and he teaches people the importance of breath work, and he does ice baths. We have done it with him before. It was actually the very first ice bath either of us have done. It was quite a challenge. I'm excited to do it again.
I am not excited to do it again. I think it's a good technique to practice.
I think for all immigrants, expats that live here in Playa, the lifestyle can look very different. I think if you're living on the side of the highway, close to the 5th Avenue, I would imagine people spend a lot of time on the beaches, going to cute coffee shops and stuff. But Giovanni and I live a very low-key life on the other side of the highway. We're very integrated into like the local population. Yeah,
I am local.
Yeah, I mean, he is Playa OG. Giovanni and I have been quite focused on our health lately. So we've been working out, we've been cooking a lot at home, a lot of like wholesome meals. So I mean, this is exactly the type of thing that if we are going to leave our little bubble from the other side of the highway, this is the type of thing we're going to come down for. We're not party people anymore.
And also not owning a car and living on the other side of the highway, the public transportation can be a little bit more complicated too.
Yes, yeah,
Get to this
sure.
area.
Yeah. Inhale in. Now you're going to hold at the top. Let it go. Okay. Ready?
I am not ready.
Of course you are. Whenever you're ready.
We just want to give everyone who lives in Playa the chance to come and experience ice baths and breath work. There's so many healing classes that are a little bit woo-woo, you know, and you sort of leave and you're like, well, what was that all about? And this is something completely different. You know something has happened in this class, as you can vouch yourself,
yeah.
and we've experienced ourselves. You know, it's helped me tremendously. Yeah.
Good job. Yay, you did it, my love. Beautiful. Move the body.
Yeah.
How do you feel?
Cool.
You did it.
Yeah.
We both came from, you know, a place of experiencing mental health issues, and the traditional pharmaceutical route just didn't really work for us. I think most of the health benefits are within 3 minutes. In that first minute, your body wants to go into the sympathetic nervous system. You want to like breathe like that.
Yeah.
But after a minute, you start to get used to it. The pain starts to plateau. And then you're able to like breathe deeply, right?
Yeah.
And you make the switch. That helps to retrain your breaths in everyday situations that are stressful, that make you feel anxious or depressed. You learn to not breathe like that. You learn to just...
Good job, my love. How do you feel?
Tingly everywhere. Very, very tingly. It was good. Last time I did it, I didn't manage to get my arms in. Getting your hands and your arms in there definitely makes it more difficult.
I did up to my collarbone.
You did?
Yeah.
I did it up to
The collar, like,
there. So our ice bath was fantastic. It's always challenging, but I feel great right now. It's always wonderful to see Kevin, guys. Seriously, if you want to do something different other than like going to the bars and drinking and stuff, come and see Kevin. He's here Wednesday to Sunday. It's such a wonderful activity to do first thing in the morning. But yeah, now we're hungry, specifically Giovanni. So we're headed to a cafe that we've been to once before. We were super impressed. Food was really great, so we're headed back there to show that to you guys. Oh, by the way, we forgot to mention a bit earlier in regards to the Sargassum, there are a few resources you guys can check out if you want to just keep your eye on how it's doing. Although, to be honest, the Sargassum situation changes within a matter of hours. It can change overnight. So even if you guys ask us, is there Sargassum today? And we say no, there could very well be a ton of Sargassum tomorrow. But anyways, we'll leave those links in our description.
and it can be Sargassum here, but cannot be Sargassum over there, and can be 10 times more Sargassum in another. But it's just a matter of like where the Sargassum washes ashore.
Washes ashore, exactly. Walking down our favorite street art streets.
Dia de los Muertos.
Dia de los Muertos.
My birthday was on January 1st, but on that day Playa del Carmen gets quite busy, so I'm gonna have my birthday breakfast today.
Yeah, we've postponed it so long. I'm sorry, my love. So one of the things about living in Playa del Carmen that I think is so attractive for so many people, because by now there are just thousands and thousands of immigrants living in Playa del Carmen, is you've got the option to eat the local food, eat at the street stands. Giovanni and I do that all the time. It's very possible to live on a very low budget, but then you also have these like more westernized cafes and things all over Playa. You've got really, really good cafes and restaurants. I think that's something that is so attractive about Playa del Carmen, because you've got that diversity. Whereas if you were to go to maybe a little town like Pátzcuaro, the small town in Mexico, you're not going to have these types of options available. You're only going to have local options available to you. So yeah, Giovanni and I don't eat at these westernized restaurants very often. We keep it very local to live on a budget. But yeah, you've got this available to you. That's what you're looking for.
But also when we come and visit these places, we really are very picky with our likes. So we choose the ones that we really enjoy. So Chushu has been in our list from the last time we came here.
Yeah.
Also, we made a food tour video with like the things that we like here in Playa del Carmen. So something that you should try.
Yes, yeah. If you're looking for good food in Playa, watch that video.
Local and like westernized food as well.
Yeah.
Why are you looking?
The pastries look really freaking nice.
Wow.
Yes. Oh my god. I got a bagel. There are caramelized onions, tocino, which is bacon, queso, which is cheese, and then we've got some roasted potatoes, and Giovanni got an eggs benedict. I'm gonna have to show you.
Ready?
You can see it's full of goodness.
Amazing. Okay.
Let's get a 10 out of 10 for me. Very good.
I got pulled pork. Very good, yeah?
Oh my god.
I've been wanting to eat this for the longest time, yeah?
Choo-choo for breakfast, 10 out of 10. So because of the ever-expanding immigrant population here in Playa del Carmen, there's actually a brand new grocery store called Chedraui Super Selecto, which basically is like the normal Chedraui, except they've got a lot more like artisanal, like fancy items. We're looking for some bread for our dinner.
Bread,
artisanal bread. The thing is, Cancun has always been a lot more developed than Playa del Carmen, but I think now, in the last 2 or 3 years, because of the massive expansion within the sector of tourism and immigrants, Playa needed something like this. Playa didn't have anything like this.
Yeah, what I like that it's like the premium option that you have at that grocery store where we used to have like
Very
Walmart
basic
or
options.
Chedraui. Then you have something like this when you have imported goods, good artisanal bread, and among
I
the-
even found South African wine over there.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, they even have South African wine. Oh, yeah, something as simple as like fancy like imported meats and cheeses. That was something before this grocery store was built, was kind of difficult to find. I mean, now you've got access to all of those kinds of like international luxuries. It's a pretty big indicator of where Playa del Carmen is headed. Let's get 3, I think, is enough.
You have a lot of like imported stuff. Like you don't pay for a box of cereal here in Mexico, so this is like definitely imported price.
Yeah. This place is definitely not built for like the locals of Playa. This is built for the international interest, for sure.
All the beach goods.
All the beach goodies.
Bienvenido. Si cuenta con una tarjeta de programa de su compra, siga las instrucciones de la pantalla.
Hey, listos.
Listo. Well, as you can see, Playa del Carmen is growing, and you will find new developments, but there's certain things like, for example, we are going to pay our power right now and we cannot pay it online. This is just because the way our power meter is set. There are other options that you will be able to pay it online, but it's incredible that, I mean, 2023 and you still struggle with those type of things.
We are still in Mexico. You got to keep that in mind. You know, there are certain things that are not going to be up to par, such as like having to pay power in person, but also like our Wi-Fi is like probably the same speed as the Wi-Fi that you guys in the States had in 2005. It's crazy. So,
Or in the 90s.
yeah. So yeah, I mean, in some ways it is becoming more and more developed. In other ways, it's still pretty
And
iffish.
yeah.
Another thing about Playa that I think draws a lot of like the immigrant population, and we're going to talk about the expat immigrant thing in a bit, is the fact that it's super walkable, especially if you're living on this side of the highway. So this side of the highway is the side where the 5th Avenue is, with beaches and everything. You know, everything is walkable. You don't necessarily need a car. You live on the other side of the highway. That's where things can get tricky, and you kind of need a car. You don't need it, but it definitely makes life a lot more easy.
Look at the perrito.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Comisión Federal de Electricidad.
Alright, so if you're curious, we paid 334 pesos for for electricity for the whole month, which is not bad at all. And if you want to know more about our cost of living in Playa del Carmen, watch our cost of living video. I mean, we break down everything from rent to groceries to utilities, all of those kinds of things.
Just to keep in mind, we live in a serious budget.
Yeah. So if you want to live for under $1,000 a month, have a look at our video because it's totally possible. Giovanni and I don't typically get out of our little bubble very often. We honestly spend 6 days of the week working on our videos, planning future content, blah, blah, blah. So today's kind of like our off day. So we're having a braai tonight. Wow. Okay, a braai is a huge part of South African culture. In Mexico, it would be called a carne asada. And in the United States, Canada, it would be called a barbecue.
Barbecue.
So, a barbecue. So that
In
is what
Australia would be a barbie.
a barbie.
And there's plenty of shrimps on the bar.
So we're headed to our favorite little store here in Playa to go pick up these delicious Argentinian sausages and a few other things for our dinner. And that's pretty much us in terms of like admin and stuff that we need to do today. And then we're going to take you to the other side of the highway where we live, so you guys can kind of like see the difference between this side of the highway and the local side of the highway.
And then Bob's your uncle.
We don't have to buy that much.
I mean, you can get the products there in Chedraui Select, but for triple of the price.
If you want to get quinoa and chia seeds and that kind of thing, Jack is where you want to come, because this is where you're going to kind of get it like wholesale price as opposed to grocery store prices. So enough paprika, sesame seeds,
Pomegranate. I don't think these things grow here, but I mean, it's very nice to have the option. Yeah. Lechuga.
lechuga.
It's enough, right?
Yeah.
Un paquete de salchicha argentina, por favor. Muchas gracias.
Yes. That's what we came for. Aceite de coco. Okay, so here's a little tip. Something that Giovanni and I have actually discovered since we've been living here is you can get things like coconut oil and, you know, those kinds of like fancier items. They're going to be a lot more pricey if you buy them in these stores, but go and have a look at Amazon Mexico. Sometimes Amazon Mexico will have these items, but for like a third of the price.
Yeah.
We pay how much for our aceite de coco?
130 pesos.
We only pay 130 pesos for like a liter of coconut oil, where it's like double the price here. So just go check out Amazon.
Gracias, señorita. Bonita tarde.
Okay, so now my least favorite part about living in Playa del Carmen is the public transportation. This is something that we've definitely noticed a massive change in the last 3 years. When we first moved here, we could easily catch public buses. I mean, we didn't wait longer than 10, 15 minutes at the very most, and there were enough seats for everyone. The last 3 years, because there have been so many people that have moved to Playa, the public transportation just cannot keep up. Sometimes we waste hours waiting for public transportation, and then you get on the buses and they pack like 25 people on the buses. It's actually very unsafe.
Have to take taxi.
We ended up waiting like an extra 30 minutes and there were no buses, so we ended up having to take a taxi. Alright, so we're back at home and Giovanni's just setting up our barbecue for us. We're gonna grill those Argentinian sausages. Actually, that's something about Playa, is there is a massive Argentinian community here. So if you ever get the chance to have a choripan, or you can buy Argentinian sausages, they're so good.
Argentinian empanadas.
Oh yeah, that's true. Argentinian empanadas, which is also in our Playa del Carmen food tour. Anyways, we're about to answer some questions and we're going to talk a little bit about the taxi situation here and also the developments that has happened in Playa over the last 3 years. Like I was mentioning a bit earlier, the situation with the taxis here is not great. Honestly, we're not going to get too deep into it. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of stuff that happens there. There are a lot of people that have made in-depth videos about the issue with the taxi drivers. But basically what we can say is, it doesn't matter whether you are a tourist or a local, they just want to rip you off. We've had so many experiences where we've asked a taxi driver to take us from A to B, where we know it should cost us 50 pesos and they want to charge us 100 pesos, 120 pesos, and they've got such an attitude. And so yeah, besides the public transportation becoming like just overloaded, the taxis as well are just
a disclaimer, it's not all the taxi drivers, but
No,
it's like the vast
majority.
Like I would say 90%.
Yeah.
So it's very bad.
That's why they're trying to get Uber here, but the taxis are fighting between. Yeah, there's tons of videos on that.
So since we came here to Playa del Carmen 3 years ago, we experienced, like, even myself when I was living here before I was with Simon, the number of like foreigners or immigrants, expats in this side of the highway were close to zero. And we have experienced like a
sharp incline.
the same incline of like a lot of people from like you can clearly see that from other countries. So like we have noticed that.
Yeah. So I mean, traditionally, people moving to Mexico would move to the fun side of the highway where you know all the expat stuff is, the beaches and whatever. Yeah, in the last 3 years, I mean, when we first moved here in March of 2020. You didn't see any foreigners on the side of the highway. Now, I mean, we go on our morning runs and spot 4, 5, 6. I mean, not that it's a bad thing, but I think it's just an indication of how many people are moving here.
Yep.
Yeah, doing a wonderful job, my lips.
I'm not sure. I mean, if you are Argentinian and you're watching this, I'm probably doing wrong. Don't blame me.
Next thing, the expat/immigrant thing. I always just called myself an expat until I watched a video the other day where this person explained so well about like the fact that calling yourself an expat is elitist.
Now, back home, what do we call the exploited people who cross our borders looking for better economic opportunities? We certainly don't call them digital nomads or expats or any of the other cringeworthy names that Americans only call themselves. Those people are immigrants, and you and I here in Mexico, we are immigrants.
So that's why I've kind of like shifted my mindset from considering myself an expat, I'm an immigrant in this country. So yeah, I mean, there's also a ton of videos on that, like just talking about gentrification and the immigrant slash expat saga. So I mean, if you want to like dive more into that, there's tons of resources on YouTube. So along with that, of course, another observation that we've made over the last 3 years is the amount of developments that have gone up is just insanity. Like all over Playa, I mean, all over the Rivera Maya. If you see Tulum is the change in Tulum in just the last 3 years is phenomenal. I mean, another indication as to how massively this area is growing within the tourism industry as well as with the amount of people that are moving here.
Yeah, the thing that I will say with Tulum, it will be like it's developing more for the tourism than for the town. Here in Playa, it's still like, it's like a mix like from people who's moving to Mexico from other countries, and same as locals that are looking to buy a property as well.
Yeah, and also the amount of hotels and tourism opportunities that are popping up here. You've got a ton of locals moving from other states in Mexico to come and fill those positions. So yeah, Playa del Carmen is booming right now. If you want to invest, Playa del Carmen is probably a good place to do that. Giovanni's just tending to our bra. So, and also please just excuse our wall. We will eventually get around to repainting, but yeah, we'll get there. Anyways, so along with what we were just saying about the amount of people that are moving to Playa del Carmen, of course, it is to be expected. The cost of rent has shot up in the last 3 years. At least on the side of the highway, I don't think 3 years ago you ever saw anything higher than $500 a month. We've heard from our own subscribers that they're on this side of the highway and they're paying up to $800 or $900 a month, probably for like a 2-3 bedroom place, and it's probably a bit nicer than where we live, but still, like that's a lot. I mean, we understand inflation. Inflation is a huge thing right now, but I mean, I think it's just because of the increasing demand. Playa is not the affordable place that it once was. So now we're moving on to the life update part, because it's been a long time since we vlogged. All of our latest vlogs were literally filmed in October/November, so it's been what, 3-4 months.
Yeah.
So yeah, basically next month we're celebrating our 3 years since moving here together from the Cayman Islands, which means I'm moving along with my residency. I'm going into renew my temporary residency next week, which means that next year I can then go for my permanent residency, and then I can eventually naturalize and I can get a Mexican passport, because a Mexican passport is a lot stronger than a South African passport.
But first, she needs to start speaking Spanish.
Yeah, in order for me to do that, I would need to get a lot more fluent with my Spanish. I would say transactionally, I'm good to go. In terms of having an actual conversation with someone, yeah, there's...
Hola, Coca-Cola. That's not anything that she knows. No.
Hola? Perfect. Coca-Cola. Hola, Coca-Cola. So over the last 3 years, particularly in the last year, we've had the great pleasure of meeting quite a few of our subscribers. Quite a few people that have come to Playa del Carmen on vacation have met up with us in real life, and it's been wonderful. But we're kind of at a point where we're at capacity. We are launching a digital have a coffee with us. So through Buy Me a Coffee, you guys can book a call with us if you just want to hang out and chat and have a virtual coffee, or if you've got any questions, we'd be available to answer any of those questions that you may have. So yeah, moving forward, that's what's going to happen.
This is going to be a good way for you to connect with us, and if you are really looking for those specific questions, so we will be there for you too.
Exactly. Yeah, so if you watched all the way until the end, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. We hope that you got some valuable insights into what living in Playa del Carmen looks like. We love it here. There's a lot that's good about Playa. There's a lot that we love about Playa. Giovanni's family lives here, which is a huge plus, but in the future we definitely would like to relocate to like a more authentic part of Mexico, just away from like the tourist hotspots. Yeah, if you watched until this point, thank you so much. If you've got any questions, please leave them in the comments. If you'd like to book a coffee with us, you can find that link in our bio. And yeah, anything else?
Yeah, no, nothing else. I think we're very excited for our next trip, our upcoming videos that we are preparing, so please stay tuned, subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and that being said, we'll see you in the next episode. Hasta luego. Join us for our third and final episode of our Day of the Dead series, where we travel to the tiny town on the Pátzcuaro Lake where the real-life Mama Coco once lived.